And it's Ken Kraetzer for Ken Kraetzer Talking Business and the Marketing Club of New York. We have a chance to talk with one of our Silver Apple honorees for 2024. Uh, this award is going to be presented at a gala banquet in New York City on November 7th at the Hard Rock Cafe. And we have a chance to talk with Alan Kraft, who has had a spectacular career in the marketing field. He's now in the winery business, but for 36 years, he led Media Horizons, very successful agency. And Alan, good to see you today. And congratulations on your award.
Thanks, Ken. It's good to see you as well. And thanks for the kind words. I appreciate them.
Absolutely. Well, tell our audience a little bit about Media Horizons, its founding you know, and uh, and why it was successful.
So, I founded the company in June of 1988. I'd started my career in what was then referred to as direct marketing in 1976. I worked for three companies, learned a lot from the owners of each of those companies, and then was presented with the opportunity to start my own business, which is something I had always wanted to do ever since having like a paper route as a kid. Growing up in Brooklyn, I was a early adapter entrepreneur. And so I was approached by a couple of guys who were in the media business, who thought having an agency would be a fun and lucrative thing to do. And we sort of started in June of '88, as I said. And in 2020, in January of 2020, right before the world kind of shut down, we were fortunate enough to sell the company to a $9 billion privately held company called CNG, who saw the opportunity to bolt agency services onto what they do, and it was a hell of a run. We've been around long enough that I remember when media was sort of all offline, and we did a lot of direct mail, we did a lot of inserts, we did a lot of print media, and then obviously the world changed and we adapted and changed right along with it. And the media mix for our clients, then included paid search and paid social and display and connected TV and digital audio and pretty much all manner of digital media. But we never really walked away from the offline side. And I think what made us unique as an agency is that we had extraordinarily talented people on both sides of the ball, if you will. So we had an amazing offline team who had been with us for many years, and we were fortunate enough to hire and nurture some incredibly talented people on the digital side who would come out of large agencies, holding company kind of agencies. And the favorite equation, in business for me is 1 + 1 = 3. And for us, and more specifically for our clients, the offline plus the digital became that 1 + 1 = 3. So like anything else in life, it was never just a straight line from start to finish. All businesses face challenges, from time to time. We were pretty good at overcoming them, including some, incredible economic declines and obviously the pandemic, which impacted all of us. So yeah, it was a fun run. I'm extremely proud of the work that we did. We had some great clients over the years. You were one of them at one time, many years ago, and yeah, that's sort of the legacy I think that we were able to leave behind is we were an agency that performed well for its clients and made its clients money. And I think that was sort of the reason for existence.
Well, Alan, when you started, I know I was working at Chase Bank in New York City on credit card marketing, and everything then was, big direct mail campaigns, catalogs. I think really the height of the catalog industry was the early '90s, and uh, and direct marketing. Tell us about those days. What made it fun?
I think what made it fun was that you had the opportunity to really look at the campaigns you had executed, evaluate them from every possible angle without the pressure that exists today in the digital space of having to change on the fly. We really were able to, and when we worked with Chase as an example, and we would finish a campaign, really dig in on the creative, on the offers, on the media, and make sound decisions in terms of what was the next campaign going to look like. I also think from a business ownership perspective, it was a fun time because clients were clients, they were marketing people. This is before procurement people got involved in agency hiring and agency compensation, all that. We did a lot of stuff with, on a handshake. There weren't a lot of MSAs or SOWs being created and executed. And it was a very collaborative time. Clients, vendors, agency in the middle. We used to get together at conferences and just figure out, what can we do to make it better, right? We're using this particular media, it's performing adequately, but is there a value add there? Is there something that we can do to make the results better? And I think a lot of that has kind of gone by the wayside now. And even this conversation that we're having via Zoom has become sort of the norm. And most of my career was spent sitting in somebody else's conference room, and that sort of direct involvement often led to some really creative solutions to problems and creative ideas to enhance what we were doing.
Well, no doubt. I really prefer doing interviews in person if I can, and uh, communication now still in person relationships are so important. How did you find on that topic? The building relationships with clients. You've done a lot of sales work and developed a successful company. What was your approach in just building relationships with clients and maintaining them?
I think there are a number of things. First of all, it's what I said a few minutes ago about being there. I missed a lot of my kids' sports games and concerts in school because I spent so much time visiting with clients, and it was never just like a Zoom now. It's like we're going to meet at 9:30. We all have a hard stop at 10:30. It was more of we're coming into town. Let's have a nice meal together. Let's spend the day really talking about the work that we're doing together. So I think a lot of it was just being there. But I think the most important thing is being a good listener and trying to really understand and have empathy for what the client is trying to accomplish. So we worked with owners. One of our longest tenured client relationships was with a gentleman named David Orek, who owned a vacuum cleaner company. We were their agency for 21 years, and we would just sit and talk to David, and he was a visionary marketer and just really kind of dig in. And then we had clients that were enormous corporations like Chase, where you and I first met, and they were marketing folks there who were looking to produce the best possible results for their company because ultimately that would benefit them and their career. So there was a lot of collaboration that existed, and I think listening, understanding, being able to bring to each client learnings that we had gotten from the other work that we were doing for other clients. I think those things all went into developing those great relationships.
And Alan, we've all faced in our careers is the implementation of new technology. You know, uh, when email came around in the '90s, and then everybody had to have a website, and then the galactic change of mobile, and now it's AI and analytics in so many different forms. How did you handle some of the new technology? How'd you learn it? How'd you get good at it?
Well, you're making a broad assumption that I am good at it. Okay, so let's we may want to dig in on that. You know, I hope this will answer your question. I'm going to share with you a story that I told to summer interns that would come to work at Media Horizons. We had a very, very sort of formularized intern program for many, many years. We have two, three, four kids every summer. It was delightful having them there. And one of the great things I got to do is on the morning that they would arrive for their first day of work, I get to sit and talk to them for a couple of hours, and just sort of give them a little bit of the history of the company and what we were doing and give them an overview, and then learn about them, okay, and learn about their media habits and who they were as people and as consumers. The story I used to tell them is when I started my career in the 70s, and a client would call, yes, call, and say, "Hey, can you tell me, what were the results of the January direct mail campaign?" And you'd sit and you'd think for a minute and you go, um, let me look at that. I'll put together a report for you. I'll put it in the mail. You'll have it sometime next week. And the client will go, wow, next week. That's amazing. That's fabulous. Then those crazy people from Emory Air Freight and Federal Express, FedEx, came around, and the client would call, and I'd like to see the results of the direct mail campaign. And you'd say, okay, let me look at it. I'll put together a report and I'll overnight it to you. Then the fax machine came along, and you would go through the same drill with the client and say, okay, I'll fax it to you in an hour or two. And then email came along. And the client would say, I have a meeting in 15 minutes. Can you email to me before then? And then all of a sudden, we were sharing drives on calls like this and looking at the results in live time together. So I think the compression of time over the years is probably the single biggest change for me. Kind of a dinosaur, it's almost 50 years now since I started doing this. I think it was the compression of time and the expectations of immediacy that sort of changed things, to the greatest degree. As far as the technology itself is concerned, look, I was able to get on this call with you this morning. I'm extremely proud of the fact that I figured out how to log in to this. But we were always surrounded by really, really bright young people who challenged us to understand what they knew about the media, about the technology that they were working with every single day. And it's true. And when you surround yourself with smart young people, it helps keep you young and helps keep you on the cutting edge. So that's sort of, that was our trick.
Absolutely. How do you handle something? And do you have a view on artificial intelligence and applying to marketing? That's sort of the latest and greatest.
I do. So in our new business, which is called Bin 113, we're basically, consulting with wineries on how they can sell more wine via direct to consumer channels and in their tasting rooms and at events that they throw and all that. And I hope none of them are listening to this, but I can tell you that pretty much everything that I do, along with my partner, Jim Cabico, starts with an AI query. How to write a marketing plan for a winery in New Jersey that appeals to XYZ persona. And while it's never the finished product that we deliver to the client, it's a lot easier to start with 50 or 60 or 70% of the work done, and then you've just got to enhance it and edit it and all of that stuff. So I love AI, and I don't feel threatened that my job is going to be replaced by it. I don't know how I would feel if I was 30 or 40 years younger, but I think it's an amazing time that we're in terms of how it's able to make us more efficient in the work that we're doing.
Alan, you mentioned a special interest of yours, Civil War history, and you found a way to maybe combine your interests with your new winery business. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I've been a Civil War geek since I was 6 years old. And how that came about is my parents used to take my sister and me on family weekend trips, and one particular trip was to a place I had never heard of, which was called Gettysburg. And Gettysburg, as many people know, is arguably the pivotal battle in the Civil War. We arrived late on a Friday night. I was asleep. My father carried me into the hotel. As the youngest in the family, I was the first one up the next morning. I opened up the curtains of the hotel room, looked out over a battlefield, and saw monuments and cannon, and I was hooked. And I've
Mm.
been literally traveling to places like Gettysburg and Fredericksburg and Chancellorsville for 60 years now. What I learned since Jim and I started in 113 is that there's no shortage of wineries in the states of Pennsylvania and Maryland and Virginia and North Carolina and Georgia. So when I do my Civil War sort of pilgrimages, I look into what wineries are close to which battlefields, and I get in touch with the owners of them. And in fact, my favorite story is in Manassas, Virginia, where there were two battles that took place. The first battle of the war and one a year later. There's a winery that's called the Winery at Bull Run, which is what the Union called that battle. And his winery literally is adjacent to parts of the battlefield. And I went and met the owner, John Hickox, and he was kind enough to show me, because he knew I was a Civil War geek. He was kind enough to show me that in the basement of his winery, he's got a private Civil War museum with over 7,000 artifacts, many of which he personally has found on the Manassas or Bull Run battlefield. Just a
Wow.
remarkable combination. I mean, I couldn't have been any happier because I'm going through this private museum with him, and he had given me a glass of his best wine to drink. So that was a good day. That was an extremely good day.
Very good. Alan, it's going to be one of our recipients of a Silver Apple Award on November 7th at the Marketing Club of New York Gala Award Dinner at the Hard Rock Cafe. Tell us a little bit about your family.
How much time do you have? So I couldn't be any more proud. I have two sons, one of whom has worked with me at Media Horizons and works with me now at Bin 113. He is just a remarkable marketer and really helped us grow this new business of ours. My other son is an attorney who works for a technology company in New York. And my wife, who, when my boys were our boys were in high school, saw the handwriting on the wall that she wasn't going to be as busy with them any longer, went back to school and got her master's in nonfiction writing, and she became a very successful journalist, specializing in writing magazine articles and newsletters and blog posts and things of that nature around the subject of women's health. And her own background sort of led her to decide that she's a 36-year breast cancer survivor.
Oh, thank goodness.
She was actually diagnosed 5 months after Media Horizons was founded in
Oh,
1988. And so she decided that she wanted to sort of give back because she was very fortunate to have survived that disease. It continues. I'm knocking on wood. And so she became the super successful health writer. And I couldn't be any more proud of her. The best thing for me is that both of our kids and their spouses live within 15 or 20 minutes of where we do. They've chosen to live in Connecticut, where we are. So we get to see them regularly. I had dinner with one son last night. I'm going to see the other son, over the weekend. And we now have two grandsons who are twin 3-year-olds, and they live 15 minutes from us. And I get to go and hang out with my grandkids all the time. So family life couldn't be better. Really happy that I've had the opportunity to work with my son Jeremy all these years, and couldn't be any more proud of my son Jonathan for super successful career as an attorney.
very good. And now, maybe tell us a little about some of the challenges that you've overcome. You're most proud of your business. Any volunteer work. What are you most proud of?
So I'm extremely proud of some volunteer work that we did as a team at Media Horizons. As I said, my wife is a longtime breast cancer survivor, and so we as a company ran an event called the Relay for Life, which is an American Cancer Society event. We ran it in Wilton, Connecticut for 4 years, many years ago now, late 90s, early 2000s. And we raised close to $500,000 over those 4 years. So extremely proud of it. And we had a blast doing it. It was a great team event. And today I'm a volunteer. In fact, in a couple of hours, I'm part of the American Cancer Society's Road to Recovery program. So I literally pick up and deliver cancer patients for their treatments and then pick them up and bring them home again. So I've got a patient that I've been driving pretty regularly. I'll pick her up at noon today, and she'll be finished at about 3 o'clock. And so I get to build these relationships with people and share with them, some things about my life and what I've been through, our family cancer journey, and so extremely proud of those activities.
What a way to volunteer your time touching lives of those cancer patients, and what a wonderful activity to be involved with. Alan, maybe just tell us, what is it like to be recognized by peers in the Marketing Club of New York? You and I go back to many years of the Direct Marketing Club of New York. You may even go back to the 100 Million Club
Yes, I do.
back in the 80s, before they changed the name. What
Now,
is it like for
and
you to be recognized?
Ken, before I answer your question, let me just stop you there because I'm willing to bet that there are very, very few people left who actually remember why the 100 Million Club was called the 100 Million Club. It had nothing to do with net worth whatsoever. And the original members who put the club together, it was all about companies that had been involved in at least 100 million pieces of direct mail.
Right.
That, that's the derivation of the 100 Million Club. And then somebody came along and said to them, we really don't think that sounds very good. We think it sounds a little pretentious, so let's just change the name of it to the what was originally the Direct Mail Marketing Club of New
Yeah.
York. So
Yeah.
there was there as well. Listen, as far as being recognized, it's extremely humbling. I'm extremely excited for the event on November 7th. I will tell you that we're due to get back from Italy a couple of days before that. If we're having a good time in Italy, I may be phoning it in, Ken.
Well,
All, all,
we'll look forward to you coming back for this gala dinner on November 7th in New York City, the Hard Rock Cafe, Silver Apple's 40th annual award ceremony. Alan Kraft, now with Bin 113, former founder, chief revenue officer at Media Horizons for 36 years, had a great run, very, very successful leader in the field. Any final thought for us today?
yeah, I do want to mention that one of the thrills about this event that's coming up on November 7th, and I promise we will come back from Italy. It'll be there. We can go back again. One of my thrills is that my son-in-law is receiving the Green Apple Award.
Oh,
And so his name is Louis Schultz, and he works for Toomey Luggage. And I couldn't be prouder of Louis. He's an extremely bright and enthusiastic and hardworking guy who's making his mark. And I kind of love the fact that you've got Lewis as somebody is being honored for coming up in the marketing field, and then you've got me sort of looking back on what's been a fun ride for sure. It's been a great career, and now we're having more fun again and talking about wine all day long. It's pretty neat.
let's see. I think you're going to visit a few good wineries in Italy on your trip.
There's a distinct possibility of that, yes.
And once went to the Verrazzano winery not far from Florence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never been there, but I've heard great things about it. So we'll see. We'll see about some good wine, maybe a little pasta, and visit a few art museums.
And some margarita pizza. We had a lot of margarita pizza on our trip to Italy a
Nice.
bunch of years ago. Great place. You'll have a great time. So, congratulations to Alan Kraft, who will be one of our Silver Apple honorees at our gala dinner November 7th at the Hard Rock Cafe in the heart of New York City, right in Times Square. And we're all looking forward to that. As more information about it on the Marketing Club of New York website. Thank you to our guests on our honoree, Alan Kraft. And thank you for watching. This is Ken Kraetzer for Ken Kraetzer Media and the Marketing Club of New York. Thanks for watching.